New research from the Federal Reserve of New York finds that the biggest obstacle for recent college graduates to get a job and to move up is not artificial intelligence, it is remote work. Among the findings, the unemployment rate for younger college graduates from 2022 to 2025 was 3.7%, up 20% from before the pandemic. But older college grads were more likely to not only be employed, but stay employed. This report writes as follows. Our analysis suggests that these trends are related with remote work making it more difficult for managers to train and mentor new employees. New
Mm.
York Times investigative reporter Jodi Cantor joins me now to discuss all this. She is the author of the book we've talked about here before.
Quick question. Do you think that's because they outsource all of the training to recruiters? You know, back in the day when everything was in house, your management, your training was in house, but now everything, they have to fly in a recruiter or you have somebody that got to drive state to state. You think that this is the downside of them trying to, I don't know, downsize their training program, but a lot of companies are shooting themselves in the foot and it's affecting the college students?
How to start discovering your life's work. Jody, when we last talked, we were trying to figure out what the dimensions of either potential or harm were for college graduates as related to artificial intelligence. And this data from a very credible source suggests wait a minute, let's look at something else. Remote work, evaluate.
Yeah, I've seen other evidence too showing that essentially it's too early to know what the impact of AI is on entry level work. There's conventional wisdom among
Mm.
college grads, their parents, that AI is already destroying entry level work. That could happen, but I'd say that's a giant. We do not know. There are other negative forces, though, impacting the entry level job market. We just know that employers are very slow to hire right now. They're reducing costs. And then this new research shows us that it may be that remote work has also had an impact, which I think is consistent with a theme we see, even if it's early to say that AI is doing this or that to the entry level job market. What we can say is that technology is reshaping relationships, including even in the hiring process for entry level workers. And that has been very tough. It's very disruptive, and many young people are finding it negative and demoralizing.
And Jody, I want to read to you from this study also, because it talks about the
Yeah.
nexus between proximity to work colleagues and either advancement or even getting hired in the first place. Let me read. It's a long quote. Bear with me. When people work next to their colleagues, they receive more feedback on their output and more mentorship. When they are separated, even by a short distance, that feedback tapers off dramatically. The loss in feedback is more pronounced for younger workers who miss out on constructive comments that spur their development.
That's a great point, and it's valid. I mean, how does steel sharpen steel? You go to a job, a lot of times you see the guy that been there 15, 20 years, and if he's your trainer, or he just might be that co-worker that be like, nah, we do it like this, da 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 da. Da." You feel like you getting the proper tutelage. But is this just simply another collateral damage of technology? Because of AI, because of remote this and internet this, it's like we're becoming so desensitized. How does the teacher really teach the student? So this is really interesting.
I mean, this is something, the research is really interesting, but this is also something intuitively that workers have known for years. What we've seen in the workplace, partially through COVID, but partially through the rise of technology, is a degradation in relationships. We see interactions that used to be mediated by human intelligence being mediated by computers, whether it's remote work in which you're kind of managed by algorithm and don't really know your boss, or whether it's an AI interview screening you for a job so that you are entering the workforce without really meeting anyone. It tends to leave younger workers very disadvantaged. But part of the way we gain and grow in the workplace is through these in person interactions. So, like this is a very personal debate. It's a very heated debate. So I wouldn't say no remote work ever, but I would say is if you're going to take a remote work job, how are you going to be sure that you're going to have real relationships and real learning?
Mm.
And Jody, to the point of your book, How to Start, if you're a 40-year-old worker who has experience and a track record, you're more likely to maybe be hired for a remote job. But if you're just getting started, not only you need it as a getting started worker, but your employer needs you to have a better sense of interactivity in your own workplace.
Older people are more protected in remote work because they have experience and they have relationships. First time workers don't have that. And so they're vulnerable to all of the negative things about remote work.
Jody
I
Cantor.
would say,
Yeah, go ahead, real
yeah,
quick.
no, I just, if there are graduates out there who are lucky enough to be choosing a first job right now, what I would say is choose stimulation and choose relationships and work for the best people you can because those first jobs are about learning and you probably will learn a lot more in person.
Not always about the best pay, but the best situation. Jody Cantor, great stuff as always.
But isn't a remote job like what we all dream of? I mean, you ain't got to be around people you don't like. You could just stay home. Or is that a bad thing? Is the world becoming so selfishly introverted that we don't interact and we don't, like I say, steel sharp is steel? And everybody's not bad. Interacting with humanity is a healthy thing. So if you isolate yourself behind these jobs, how does that affect your character? This is really interesting, and I mean interesting because it makes you concerned about what does the future look like in terms of AI and remote employment. So, hey, comment, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all next video.